Hello there. What we're going to be doing in this lesson is starting to look at the equations of some graphs. So we're going to start with some horizontal and vertical graphs, and then we're going to move on to some sloping graphs. So let's start with a vertical graph. Let's sort out our axes first. So we need our x is across, so we need to mark our x-axis going across and our y-axis going up. Now let's choose ourselves a line. So I'm going to draw in a graph. So I'm going to draw in that graph here. So we're going to find the equation of this graph. To do that, we're going to need to pick a few coordinates. So I'm going to choose any three coordinates. Let's go for this one here. Let's call that point A. Let's make this one point B and point C here. And let's work out these coordinates. So we've got A, B and C. A is 4, 1. B is 4, 3. And C is 4, 4. So, if we look at these now, what do they all have in common? The coordinates have an x-ordinate and a y-ordinate. And we can see that the x-ordinate of all three of these is 4. So, the x-ordinate is 4. Now, we can pick any other points here, and it doesn't matter what the y part or the y-ordinate is, the x-ordinate will always be 4. So anywhere along this graph, x is equal to 4. So the equation of the line is x equals 4. Now let's choose another one. So let's clear this. We've got another graph on our axes now. You might have an idea of what the equation of this graph might be, but let's follow the same steps and make sure. I'm going to pick 2 points again. I'm going to pick point A and point B. And let's have a quick look at the coordinates. So point A, well that's -2, 3. And point B is -2, -1. So again, let's look at what's the same. The x-ordinate in both is -2. So x is -2. Well done if you got that. I've now drawn another 3 graphs on our axes. See if you can work out the equations of the red, amber and the green graphs. Let's see how we've done. Let's take a look at the red graph. If we pick any point, the x-ordinate would always be 1. So the graph has the equation x equals 1. Next, amber equation. A little bit trickier now. It's not going to be an x-ordinate that stays the same, it's the y-ordinate that stays the same. So in this case, the y-ordinate is always 3. The equation of the graph is y equals 3. And the green, a little bit trickier, but pretty similar to the amber. In this case, y equals -2.5. How did you get on? Let's take a look at a challenge. We're going to work out the area enclosed by the following graphs. X equals -3, x equals 2, y equals -1 and y equals 1. Our first step is going to be to plot those graphs. Take a moment now to think about what that's going to look like. So let's get these graphs plotted. Let's start with x equals -3. So we'll go across on the x-axis to -3 and we'll have a line straight down here. Now it's good practice to label any graphs you draw. So let's do that up here. x equals negative 3. Next one, x equals 2. Let's draw that in. On our x-axis, there's 2, and straight down there. For the others, y is negative 1. On our y-axis, negative 1, straight across there. And y is positive 1, across there. Now, we didn't label these three, we should have done. Let's get that in now. X equals 2, y equals negative 1, and y equals positive 1. See if you can work out the area enclosed by the four graphs now. So that wasn't too tricky. The shape we'd be left with is a rectangle 2 squares down and 5 squares across. So the area enclosed by these four graphs is 2 times 5, so it's 10 square units. Now that's as far as we need to go with this. We've looked at horizontal graphs and vertical graphs, and we can find the equations and we can draw the graphs when we're given the equation. So our next step now, we're ready to move on to sloping graphs.